coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
Bill, I got to say, churches die for one of two reasons. They either change that which should never change, or they are unwilling to change that which they are free to change.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. My name is Josh Denhart. Grateful that you are here. We're starting a new month. We're talking about digital ministry. Guess what? It is we're a quarter of the way plus through the 21st century. It is 2026. And so we need to get with the times. Typically the church is pretty behind the times. Bill, it's kind of tough sometimes with the church. Am I right, brother?
Oh, it's definitely behind. I mean, I'm sure there's some churches out there who are still like, do you think it's time to get a website yet? Should we do that?
Right. In this little podcast series, we're going to open it up today and kind of talk about why it's so challenging sometimes. Like, why is it important? And just a call to action to go, you need to commit to this, okay? In subsequent episodes, we're going to talk about church websites. We're going to talk about creating a virtual tour for your church and some other wonderful, wonderful digital assets that you need to think about, right? But on this first particular episode of the podcast, as we're diving in for the entire month about digital ministry, we're talking about the power of digital ministry. Bill, I got to say, churches die for one of two reasons. They either change that which should never change, or they are unwilling to change that which they are free to change. I'm going to hit that again. Churches die. They die for one of two reasons. Either number one, they change that which they should never change, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is an unchanging message. And they change that, you are doomed to die. Or number two, they are unwilling to change that which they are free to change, which is their methods. So number one, a church dies when they change the unchanging message of Christ. A church dies, number two, because they are so wed to their methods that they maybe codify and gospelify and say, well, I'll tell you what, we have always done and you're unwilling to change. So the bottom line here is you need to date the method and you need to marry the message.
That is so true. I've seen both. I've definitely seen both in churches. I've seen a lot of churches who are like, we are going to die on the hill of the cassette ministry, or we're going to die on the hill or of whatever it is. What you just fill in the blank of what it could be, but there's just, we will never change. This has to be how it is.
This is how we do this.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, it's honestly kind of sad. I've gone to some of these churches and I've sat there and been like, man, like, just wait 10 more years and your all of your members are 70s and 80s and there's no kids ministry and there's no family ministry. How did they get there? Okay. Because they were never willing to change that which they actually have control to change.
That's right. And then on the flip side, which we're not talking, we're focusing on number two today, right? Number one, we talked about during the lead out, like staying true to the gospel, staying true to the foundations, sharing the gospel in a way that honors the scriptures, but also seeks to honor the audience. Fine. Don't change it. By the way, I've seen churches and even denominations who have altered or changed the message. Not a good move. We're not talking about that today. What we're talking about, and if we're stepping on any toes today, it is the group of churches who are unwilling to change that which they're free to change. Often I have said, wow, your church really loved 1956. Because you clearly love 1956 because it's like a time warp. I have legitimately stepped into a time warp and I am 75 years in the past. Has anybody at your church told you guys that nobody does it this way anymore?
Right. Absolutely.
So
yeah, it's like stepping into a time capsule.
It's okay. Like a time capsule where you dig the earth up and you take like relics and remnants. We did this when I was a senior in high school, and we buried it someplace. And it was all this ridiculousness of what was popular in 1993. And then you bury it, and then you come back at your 50th year reunion and you dig it up and you're like, well, that's insane. That's like those churches. It's like they've been buried and all of the trappings of 1956 are still right there.
Right. I had an experience where this happened to me in real life. My wife and I, several years ago, were looking for a new home. And so, of course, when you're looking for a new home, you're checking out everything, especially in this market. It's crazy. And so we saw this house, older part of the town we live in, and it on the outside, it was like enchanting. That's the only way I could describe it. It was all stone, rough hewn stone that they had, and it was like, different shapes, and they had a chimney, and it was so beautiful. And literally our realtor was like, okay, I want to show you this house because it hits your metrics. It has the 3 bedrooms, it has all the things.
Yes.
And so they're like, but like,
wait. So there was a but.
Yes, there's a but. They're like, he's like, but I just want to tell you before we open the door that you're gonna want to do some updates.
Like I'm getting ready to burst in. Because I'm sure he you were getting ready to grab the door handle and he put his arms out and he goes, stop everything.
Yes.
I have to prepare you for what you're getting ready to walk into.
Yes. And it was, so we opened the door and I wanted to start taking pictures immediately because I was like, it was like stepping onto the set of a movie that was shot in like 1961. And you walked in and the people who had lived there it wasn't just that the stuff was old. The people who lived there kept it immaculate. So it was like beautifully old, like all this ornate wood. The carpet was like the shag, but perfect condition, no stains on it. Like these people must have been meticulous. You walk into the kitchen and you're like, this is like a retro perfect. Yes! Like if you were to step back into time, it looked exactly like that in 1961. And so I went beyond just like, I'm looking for a house to being like, I just want to spend some time here. I feel like I went back in time. Yes.
And so that's kind of funny. That's kind of cool. And there are even people, I even know a guy who goes and buys retro clothes from 1961. I know him. He's a cool dude, but he buys clothes that would fit that era. He would probably love to move into that home. And it's kind of a funny story. It just ain't funny when it comes to the church.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's not funny. No, if that's how it feels for people walking into your church or looking at your church's website, man, ouch.
Well, I have to say, this makes me think about why digital ministry is hard. I mean, we get it, but all of a sudden, as you were walking into that retro 1961 home, your real estate guy was like, barring the door, remember, and all that. And he was like, you're going to have to update. And so what does that mean? That means that you're going to have to put time, money, a lot of thought. There's going to be a demolition process. There's going to be a rebuilding process. You may not even be able to move into that house for an extended period of time as these renovations are happening.
Right. Absolutely. There's probably like lead paint and asbestos in
there. Right? So why is digital ministry so hard? I'm kind of tipping my hand because it's like, it's tech overwhelm. I feel completely overwhelmed to navigate how to do ministry in the digital age.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal.
Oh yeah, it is. And it can be really overwhelming. Like even simple things when, it's like we need, we see these other churches and they have social media. They have a social media and they are doing things and they're reaching people in the ways, and you think to yourself, like, where do I even begin? What platform do I use? Like, how do I begin to post? Like, what does that even mean for us, right? That can be super overwhelming.
Super, super overwhelming. But yet another one is behind the times. You're like, dude, we are completely behind the times. We need new tools. And as you just got done saying, Bill, we don't even know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I have walked into churches who are unbelievably behind the times. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that all of a sudden that you need to become something that you're not, right? I love hymns. I'm not saying jettison the hymns. But you have to think through, as Paul the Apostle said, he goes, to the Jew I became a Jew. To the Gentile, I became a Gentile. To the Scythian, I became a Scythian. I become all things to all people, that by all means I might reach some.
Amen. Amen. And that actually points out what you should be doing online. It's actually makes it really clear for you. You need to look at your people and where are they at? And
That's
where
right.
are the people you're trying to reach at? Right?
That's right.
If you're trying to reach young families, then you have a clear indication of some of the things that you need to have an online presence for.
And some of the indications as far as what the insides of your church might look like in terms
Absolutely.
of as simple as a TV, when they walk in with a scrolling set of regular announcements. Some people are like, whoa, did you say TV in the atrium of the church? Listen, I get it. That's groundbreaking for some churches. Fantastic. Maybe start there. Maybe it's, having projectors in your church. And that sounds like, dude, what church doesn't have? Bro, I am in 65 churches a year. There are churches who, yes, they have a projector, but they need to step their game. Am I right?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, another one, where to even start. We need to change. We know that we need to change, but we are unsure where to even begin. We feel lost and confused. I get that. Now, Bill, I think we've painted a picture. It is going to be complicated for some of these churches to have a digital overhaul, and it's expensive and it's complicated. But I want to just draw this next parallel. I want to talk about the striking similarities between digital dating and digital ministry. Now, have I piqued your interest?
Oh, yeah. Tell me.
I got to tell you, though, back in the day, I remember it was 1996. And I was in this church college ministry. I was recently saved. And there was this gal who was so excited. She was super giddy. And she's like, we had Thursday night was when our group met. Next Thursday, the guy that I'm engaged to is coming up here. And I was like, oh, wow, how long have you guys been dating? And she started to tell me the story. And she goes, this is the first time I'm going to meet him face to face. And I said, what? She said, yeah, we're engaged. And I said, slow. You've never met him? Nope, never met him. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, well, I met him online. And I said, wait, you met him through the internet? I had never heard of such a thing. And so that was absolutely foreign to me. But she was, in a sense now, an early adopter of what now is utterly ubiquitous, which is digital dating, online dating. Bill, I was completely shocked. I literally was like, we need to have like a social intervention with this person because she is getting ready to marry a murderer.
Absolutely. There's whole shows now. I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's whole shows about, like, it's called Catfished.
Oh, yes.
Where it's like, I think that I'm dating this person, and then they like expose them, and it's like, I was dating a 42-year-old overweight, like.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, but the thing is that I had never heard of such a thing.
Yeah.
And now times have changed and people legitimately do date through the internet, Bill.
Yeah. It's like one of the number one ways that people meet people now.
That's right. And they have these affinity groups where it's like, hey, I'm into this. There was one called farm dating.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw a commercial for it.
It was like, hey, are you kind of a redneck that farms and has a truck?
Well, like we've got some daughter.
We got some girls for you. She doesn't even own a pair of flip-flops. She has boots. You know what I mean? And so it's this little collection of people that are kind of right. And so these things exist. Great. But how does digital dating and the church even fit? Well, let me see if I can connect this. Do you realize now that before people ever meet face-to-face for the first date, that there are a significant number of digital experiences that they're going to have or interactions with that person that they're considering maybe going on a physical date with? They are 100% going to stalk them online and look at their Facebook account. They're going to look at their Instagram account and probably go back 3 or 4 or 5 years and see, kind of piece together a little bit about what they're about. They're going to do an internet search. They're going to, you see where I'm going with this? Maybe before they actually go to a restaurant, they're going to have the first Zoom call and they're going to be meeting eye to eye. And so the pathway before the first date has just been extremely protracted. It's a longer lead up to when you actually go on the first date. And in the same way, the first date is now synonymous with coming to church for the first time physically yourself. You and your family are now present at church. Let's call that the first date. Leading up to that, church leader, you have got to understand that people are looking at your website. They're either watching videos that you have on YouTube or that are on your website. They are checking out your social media platform and your profile. They are doing some digital pre-knowledge before they ever go to your church. When my wife was looking for a new church for us, she had watched dozens of messages from all these different churches. We're like, well, we're not doing that. This looks interesting, still on the chopping block, not sure. You see where I'm going with this? People have gobs of digital experiences before they go to your church, unless your church doesn't have any digital experiences for people to find out who you are, and then you're probably not going to have people come to your church.
It is so true. It is so true. And it actually shows you the importance of your online presence.
It does.
And I always like to talk about it this way. You know, I don't know how your family is, Josh, but whenever somebody is coming over to my house, right? we know we're going to have somebody come over to our house. My wife writes on our whiteboard, here's the checklist of all the things that need to be done before somebody enters this house.
Okay, I
right?
love it.
Here is the bathrooms need to be cleaned. It needs to be vacuumed. Kids, pick up your toys. We can't have people stepping on Legos and all of this stuff. And you clean up all the things. So like, outside, right? We're not going to leave trash in our yard. We're not going to have like.
Can I interrupt real quick? This is why I love having people to my house.
Right. This is so true.
I like my house getting cleaned.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, it is very effective for that.
Yes, it
is. So we clean up. We want to present ourselves well to the guests that are going to come over.
That's a part to hospitality. It's a part to hospitality.
Right. Yeah, and it's not just vanity, it's hospitality. We want to care for our guests. Agreed. It is the exact same thing about having your online presence. You need to think through what you can do. You could do this right now, today. Go to your website and all of a sudden tell yourself, I am a brand new person. This website is not just about serving the people who come to my church. I am a brand new person. I'm deciding on a church, right? And look at your website with those glasses on as a brand new person. Can they find, this is so simple, but how many churches do this? Can they find your service times? on the front page of your website? Can they find the address on the front page of the website? Could you imagine telling somebody, yeah, you guys are going to come over this Sunday, and they're like, you didn't tell them the address, right? You didn't tell them how to get there.
Figure it out. Figure it out.
Figure it out. We're in the phone book. No one has a phone book anymore.
Bill,
so that's why it's
funny.
so important for you to think through as a first-time guest, as somebody who's checking out your church, what does it look like for them? Because guess what? Every person today, 99% of the people who step foot in your church have already visited your website, looked at your sermons, looked at your Facebook page, looked at your Instagram if you have it, looked at your online digital presence, and they've already built an impression of who you are as a church based on what they see online. Statistics
say that at least 10, if not 12, on average, that digital experiences they'll have on average 10 digital experiences with your church prior to actually coming to your church.
Mm-hmm.
So number one,
amazing.
If you don't have any digital presence anywhere, who even are you? Nobody's going to find you. You're invisible. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, by the way, let's push pause for half a second because somebody out there is going to go, I'll tell you what, I wished it was kind of the good old days when, well, guess what? I'm not sure about you, but the good old days are over.
It's true.
And I wasn't born in 1858 Sweden. If I was born in 1858 Sweden, then I would know how to reach 1858 people from Sweden. Mm-hmm. I happen to be born at this time, in this place, during this era. So call it what you want, but my responsibility is to figure out how to minister in this day and in this age. And I'm sorry, we're in the digital age. So you can decry it all you want, but remember what Paul said. I'll do whatever it takes. If you're Jewish, I'll become Jewish because I want to relate to you. Mm-hmm. If you're a Gentile, I will understand the intricacies and the nuances of your Gentileness. I'll become all things to all people so that by all means I might reach some. And so get over yourself. It's not about you and your preferences. It's about other people getting exposure to you and your church.
Yeah, that is so true. And I, as a pastor on the ground, I've actually seen this play out over and over and over again. We've had just one example. We had last year a couple come up to me in our downtown campus where I'm the pastor, and they said, "We're so excited to meet you. You're like a celebrity in our house." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "We live in Chicago. We just moved, okay? But while we lived in Chicago, our grown kids, they lived in Green Bay. And so we started getting interested in churches that they could go to in Green Bay. And so we stumbled across your church, and we have been watching you for 2.5 years. And now we moved to Green Bay, and we're so excited to finally meet you." And she gave me a hug.
Oh my word. So now this is what I call this aha moment that a lot of pastors need to have for thousands of years. If I couldn't see you, I likely wasn't ministering to you.
Right.
And it's a different day now that you can be ministering to people that you will have never met and may never meet. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're going to be shocked. I think I'm going to be shocked. I think we're all going to be shocked when we get to heaven and it's all of a sudden I never introduced myself. I never told you, but you had a significant impact on my life through the internet in Jesus' name. Wow. So you got to get over the idea that if I can't see you, you don't exist.
That's true. That is so true. Yes.
So that's an interesting, kind of as we close this particular episode out, now it comes down to you need to make a commitment for digital change. You need to understand that people are going to come to your website. And bottom line on the screen here, it has a picture of a dinosaur skeleton. The world needs the church to come out of the dark ages. It is time to adopt a new way. We're going to be talking this whole month about this, how you need to adopt a new way, and it is time to change. So are you committed to, as Bill said, we're going to have an entire episode about your church website, but going to your own church website to view this as an outsider? Number 2, it ain't 1989, okay? On the screen, I have a cassette tape. Somebody's like, what's a cassette tape? Exactly. They don't exist anymore. A cassette tape was a really unique thing for, when did they come out, Bill? Probably in 1980.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
And it was a way, youngsters, of listening to music and listening to recordings. So, but if you don't adopt to the digital age, your ministry will not be as fruitful as it can be. Now, back in the day, Bill, I'll never forget, I became a Christian in 1996, and the church that I went to, they had the cassette tape ministry, and as soon as the sermon was done being preached, they would click stop. They would put that original into a cassette tape duplicator, and our church was special. It had 1 to 3. This one message could make 3 cassettes all at the same time. And sometimes if you stuck around just a little bit later, you could get one of those cassette tapes hot off the press. The exact message that was just preached, it touched my life, and I could listen to it again, or I could gift it to someone else. That was a type of digital ministry.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Probably somebody back then, when those tapes were being duplicated, was like, why are we doing this? We're people are going to stop coming to church if we give them 3 cassette tapes.
That's it. And so somebody was all up in arms about that. And they're like, why are we investing in a cassette tape duplicator? Just have them come to church. They need to come to church to have socialization and fellowship and all these things. We're doing the wrong thing. Well, okay, now hang on. Remember, what's the definition of the 2 types of churches that die? Churches die for 1 of 2 reasons: those who change that which they shouldn't change, the gospel, or those who are unwilling to change, which they're completely free to change. So all of a sudden, to that person who did not want the cassette tape ministry, they had their nose in the air about that. Well, that was a method that we could get the gospel to more people, and they were opposed to that. Now watch this. Then the cassette tape people, they took over. And then all of a sudden we're like, hey, guess what? I think we're going to go ahead and kill the cassette tape ministry. What are you talking about? Don't you understand how many people have been reached by the cassette? It's like, bro, we're moving to CDs. Nobody, you see what I'm saying? The list goes on of people who have an issue with the latest technology, and it just carries on and on. We have to be flexible. And so I thought it was fun to put a cassette tape on here. It ain't 1989 anymore, son. And also at the end of the day, and this is what we're talking about all month, you need the right tools, and you need to use those tools in the right way so that you can reach people. Now, Bill, you are in my opinion, one of the foremost experts about digital ministry. I'm so grateful to have you on this ride, and the way that you're leveraging ministry digitally is light years ahead of even where I am, and that's no question. So we're very grateful for you, Bill, and thank you for all your insights on this. Any closing thoughts about this concept as we jump into this month?
It's really about, you already stated the core of it, and I think this is what people can take away, is it's not about the newfangled technology. It's really about distributing the gospel. It's about carrying the gospel message to where people are at. And guess what? People live a vast majority of their lives now online. And so we have to bring the gospel message there.
Yes. And we can do it with excellence. We can do it as a breadcrumb approach that ultimately ends up leading them to come be a part of a local church. And that's kind of what we're all about. And we're grateful for all of you good folks to be along with us on this ride. Well, we got a lot to say about this. We got an entire month that we're dedicating to digital ministry. And so make sure you stick around, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and visit leadvolunteers.com for more episodes and resources. Thanks for listening.